Let's talk about whether university is worth it, coming from the perspective of a third year student in the UK. So first, let me tell you about what I've done. I'm a third year student, as I just mentioned. I studied business studies all the way through, and yeah, it was an interesting experience. I'm going to tell you about what happened, ultimately if I'd recommend it or not, what you learn as a student as a whole, and whether it's an experience that anybody should embark on. Let's start off by talking about what the experience is like. So being a student allows you to do many things that most people can't do. Almost all of my friends have full-time jobs, which means that when I ask them to come out in the middle of the night, in the middle of the week, it's not a possibility for them, as they have to wake up at 6, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. That's not necessarily something you have to do as a student, and you can have a lot of fun on nights out, on days out exploring, whether you want to wake up early or late, you have that freedom because you get to do that. You meet a lot of great people. I've met some really fantastic people, if I'm honest, and had some great laughs I'm never going to forget, and it's been a great experience. The learning, I must say, wasn't so fun. I wouldn't recommend the learning for the course that I've done. I don't really feel the need to go into the actual degree 100% I've done, but it was about business and I didn't find it useful at all. As I say on this channel all the time, and as I actively show, I run my own businesses and there's nothing that I've learned from this degree that can help me at all. All it's done is help me to fit into a company, which is something which I never even wanted to do, hence why I started my first business in the first place. And again, I would have expected that to be mirrored in a business degree. I thought we'd have learned how to be entrepreneurs and not how to fit into a piece of a puzzle in someone else's business, so that was a bit disappointing. All of the work is easy, if I'm honest. All of the work is easy. I haven't got the best grades, but a lot of that is due to the fact that I run a business. I always have run businesses and I feel fairly confident in my own ability to continue to do that, so I'm not too worried about what happens. And once I realised that the degree was more about being an employee than an employer, I didn't care about it that much, if I'm honest. So to summarise the experience quickly, great friends that I've met, great people that I've met as a whole, had a lot of fun, done a lot of stuff that a lot of other people do not get to do if you don't go to university. You've always got the opportunity to live away from home, go on study abroad experiences, have fun in other locations and ways that you wouldn't be able to through societies and clubs and unions and all that kind of stuff. That just makes for a really fun experience, and I have enjoyed all of that stuff. With that being considered, the learning, or at least in the course that I've done, hasn't been great. If I was to resit, and if I do resit or pick a different course, maybe I'll have a different opinion. I'm still considering that, and I'm not sure. But my point is, learning not so fun, everything else is great. The only problem, and the big thing that most people will be worried about, is the cost of university. I have two loans. One is for my maintenance loan, i.e. the money that you get to live on. The other one is for the university fees, which all come to about £20,000 a year as a whole, roughly. I think the split is pretty 50-50. The university fees are always around 10,000 or 11,000, I think, and again, the remainder of that you get to live on. Not everybody gets the maximum loan though. When we talk about the loan, this is something which most people fear about. How will I ever pay back the loan? In my eyes, and I'm not giving financial advice here at all, so do not take this as like fact, but in my eyes, I always see a loan as something which I've got to pay this back. Like, if I take a loan from a bank and they're going to repossess all my filming equipment that you see behind, that's a loan. If somebody wants to break your kneecaps because you've taken out a dodgy loan, that's a loan. If somebody says, well, repay us this money if you can, and even then you can pay off a little bit every month and it gets cancelled after, so is that a loan? So I'm not too worried about the cost, and I think the earnings potential for most people, depending on what course you're in, does obviously offset and justify it. But the big problem with university, or the big question with university is, as a young person, say, well, obviously 18 to 27, it's the best way to meet the best people. And that's just the sad truth in a way. Like, I'm in a class of, I think, like 25 people. Some people are in big lecture halls with people like 180. You meet great people when you're just hanging about on campus. And again, the club societies, the nightclubs and the nightlife and the pubs, you meet fellow students in all of the aforementioned places. So again, it's a great bonding experience, and I personally believe, and I genuinely hope, that a lot of the people that I've met from university, like a lot of them, will be lifelong friends. I've had that experience in school, college, but obviously the point is, if you weren't to do that and you were to get a job, the same's going to be harder to achieve. So the question is university as a whole worth it to somebody looking to get into it? Well, obviously that's a very comprehensive and therefore difficult question to ask. I know the generic answer is going to be, well, pick a course that works for you and do something that you... Look, we all know that the right thing to do is do what you think's right. Obvious common sense. But what is the verdict, and what would I personally say as somebody who has experience studying at university for 3 years? I think it's a rather tough question. If you are only worried about making money and making money quick, I would not go. Because let's face it, I'm going to say for a fact, I have had businesses that are going to make me more than a graduate job will do, and more than a graduate will for probably the first 10 years of their career. I've known people who were 17, 18 who were making probably like £2,000 a month in their first proper job. I've known someone who was 21 as a manager with no degree at all, just working up from being 16 and working their way up in the company. So if you're looking to make money quickly, trade schools are obviously a great option for your electricians, plumbers and other skilled labourers, but if you want that life experience, I do think university is worth it. I think it makes for a great transitional period, because we gotta be honest, right? As much as we can say, oh, people should be grown up by this age, I do not feel like I had most of the experience and knowledge that I have now when I was 18. And looking back, obviously, with a foresight and hindsight, if you will, that I have now, it's easy to say, well, yeah, but the point is, we're told that we're adults as soon as we're 18. Nothing's changed from our 17th birthday, and a lot of us don't have the life experience to make that change. In my opinion, university is a great guided and structured way to make that transition easy and to have a lot of fun with it, because we have to talk about the burdens of responsibility when you come into a more mature life. There's the bills that you have to pay all the way from your phone to your house. There's the responsibilities. Can you show up to this place on time? Can you complete this task? When we do this in a job, we have a lot more liabilities. You know, our student loan, for example, covers the housing cost most likely for whatever accommodation we pick. The cost of everything else can probably be covered by the loan too. On top of that, we have assignments. If you don't pass one of them, well, you can just resit it next time, and all that sort of stuff. It just makes it a lot easier. Whereas in a job, you can't pay your mortgage or rent, well, you're probably going to get kicked out after a while. You show up late, you don't turn up, you're going to get fired. No matter what troubles you're probably having, it's likely that's the case. If you're looking to grind the world of the 9 to 5, the world of the job, the world of the career, I'd say don't go to university at all, unless you're in it for something like medicine, science, architecture, something like that which requires a degree. I just don't see a point. But if you want that steady, gradual introduction to adult life and the opportunity to have a lot of fun, and it really is a lot of fun, I would recommend it. So for anybody out there looking to make their mind up, it's obviously up to you. Like I said, that's going to be very blatant. But what is the verdict? Well, considering the fact that the loan isn't something that necessarily has to be paid back, and especially not immediately, and considering the fact that it can give you a good job if you're in the right field, and considering the fact that it gives you the opportunity to make that comfortable transition, to have a laugh, to have some fun, to learn a lot of stuff as well, whether it be life experience, learning experience, all that sort of stuff, it makes for a great experience and a great opportunity to take. I would do it again. I think when the loan's considered, I'm not too worried by that. I think when we consider the fact that you can earn more, when we consider the fact you can learn more, when we consider the fact you can develop more, and you can have opportunities that other people just won't get in terms of socializing and all that sort of stuff. Like if you come out of school or even college and go straight into every day in work, what then? Like if that's the end goal, wouldn't you want to do some more comprehensive learning before you have to get into that position? I know I would, and obviously the decisions that I have made are obvious because I talk about it in this video. But my point is, for most people it probably is worth it. I'd be looking at it as a educational experience from a life standpoint rather than a learning standpoint. I will of course say though that the fees are way too high, and I do not approve of that. If it was lower, it would be a better option. The cost makes it just unreasonable, and it is unfortunately a burden that most people do have to deal with for a very long time. But weighing up the pros and the cons, is it still worth it? It might be. Is it worth it for a job? Probably not. Is it worth it for everything else? I'd say yes, and that's just my opinion. So agree or disagree, as I'm sure you must, but that's the way that I see it. So with that being said, thank you for watching this one until the end. Again, I want to hear your opinions, your experiences down in the comment section, but for now, that is it for this video. Again, I hope to see you in our next one, which will be coming out some point soon, I suppose, and that's it for now, so goodbye until then.
Grateful for